5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, I'm fashion designer Reco Chapple. Not only that, I'm the Make This Man Secretary, kickball coach, and international river dance champion. Girl, bitch, what? I am. Anyway, if you thought you knew, you have no idea what it takes to build the house of Chapple brick by brick.
It all started out in Tennessee with a few old needles and a sewing machine. He moved to Atlanta to pursue his dreams, but he wasn't prepared for the city extreme. He built his house brick by brick. He needed a name that would stick. That's when House of Chapple was born. He stayed in Atlanta like a thunderstorm. It's the house that Reco built. It's the house that Reco built. It's the house that Reco built. It's the house that Reco built.
Why did I decide to create this docuseries? You know, I ask myself that over and over again. I have so many young designers come up to me and say, Reco, how do you get manufacturers? How do you get your products? And how do you do this, that, and the third? I decided, unlike myself, when I was coming up, I had no one to turn to. So I decided to open my doors to the rest of the world and to all the young designers and young entrepreneurs to show them how pretty much I built this quote unquote empire. I'm showing them the good, the bad, and the ugly. Well, it's really not no ugly when it comes to dealing with me, but I'm showing them the good, the bad, and the halfway side crooked. Is that right? Halfway side crooked, or just say ugly? Ugly? We'll just say good, bad, the good, the bad, the ugly. I'm from Chattanooga, Tennessee. A lot of people may say where I'm from. You know, housing projects, I call it the bricks. The bricks. You know, bricks, cement bricks, bricks. From the bricks. Pretty much growing up, I've seen prostitution, I've seen drug deals, I've seen shootings, I've seen killings. But for me, it was the way of life. And to be honest, I thought it was absolutely fabulous. You know, we had everything. We had a roof over our head. We had clothes on our backs. We was going to schools. You know, I thought it was just the way of life. You know, bitch get pulled out of the dumpster, dead. It's like, okay, well, that was Shirley down the street. She was crazy anyway. So it was like the way of life. I lived there until I was about 11 years old. And personally, to me, after that move, that's when all hell broke loose in my household. Pretty much the 80s, crack hit the scene from my mom, my dad, my stepdad. It seemed like everyone around me was on crack. I pretty much went from house to house staying with different family members to survive. I was held back in the 6th grade. And I just remember like sometimes crying myself to sleep, like this is not how I want to live my life when I get older. You know, one thing I can say about my parents, they showed me what not to do growing up. And my brother was in and out of jail from when when he was 13. I was pretty much 10 years old at the time, 10, 11 years old. And I just saw him going back and forth to jail even till this day, this present day now. I remember in high school, I decided to turn my life around, honor society, drum major, FBLA, any student activity that you can name, that you can think of, I was in it. And I remember graduating and I just turned to my aunt and said, I would never come back to this city again. I went to the first college that gave me the full scholarship, and it was Lane College. I was able to pledge a fraternity. I was on the dean's list. I was in the band, but I was still bored. So I found a way to finagle everything, change my major. I got a full engineering scholarship to Tennessee State University. And mind you, that was the second time me changing my major because my major was mathematics at Lane College. At Tennessee State University, when I got there on campus, all hell broke loose. I came into grips with my sexuality. I met my first boyfriend. He was a designer as well, and he just want to remain unknown still to this day. He don't want no one to know who he is. And that's probably why I left his ass in Nashville, because our plan was to move to Atlanta, do this little fashion empire with him, but he didn't want to do that. So I was like, adios amigos, and that was it. I pretty much used Tennessee State University as my training ground. I dressed strippers paying their way through school. I dressed anyone running for Miss Black and Gold, Miss Tennessee State University, Mr. Tennessee State University, which I am a former Mr. Tennessee State University. I pretty much used the campus to make my hustle into a career. And pretty much after I found out I can make a couple of dollars by making one outfit, and what if I make not only one outfit but 5 outfits a day and get 5 times the money, it was on and popping. I changed my major once again for the 3rd time, and yes, I was a career undergrad student, 6 years. Don't get it twisted, I'm very proud to say, but I did get my degree, my BS degree in Family Consumer Science with a concentration in interiors and fashion. Get you some. Boo. So pretty much, after I graduated from Tennessee State University, I moved to Atlanta. I had a small clientele in the drag community, which amongst my peers, I got laughed at while they was working their job at Chili's, in Burger King. I was making money as a fashion designer. It wasn't until I was in Phipps Plaza. I was a popular mall in Atlanta. And I was pretty much window shopping, looking to see how the high-end dresses was made. You know, they have Saks and all the high-end stores. I ran into a famous gospel singer by the name of Dottie Peoples. I think she had on a fur coat. I don't know if it was a fall or something, but I remember a fur coat and that bun. You know, that bun on the top of her head. And I said, hi Dottie, I'm from Nashville. My name is Reco Chapple. I'm a big fan, and oh, praise God, don't strike me down, but I was lying. I don't know not one song she sang, but I was like, I'm a fan. So I'm a designer here, here's my card. And she said, young man, did you sell out your house? And I said, yes, man, yes, ma'am. And she said, oh, the biggest shade thrown ever in my life at that time. And so I was like feeling like this big. So I said, you know what? A week later, I found me a small showroom on Mitchell Street. After I met Dottie, I got job after jobs because I had the look of a company. Even though it was a small showroom, I got my first job with T.I. and White Chocolate, Young Bloods, Lil Scrappy, when Lil Scrappy was hot. Not the Lil Scrappy now, you know, the big Lil, would you call him Lil Scrappy? Because technically, he ain't little, but back then he was Lil Scrappy. He kind of big now. But anyway, Lil Scrappy, Young Bloods, I got my first video, and I had the makeup, the look of a company. And early on in my career, I could tell you, I was a bitch. If you couldn't pay me, not make it rain, but you couldn't pay me them coins, I couldn't do no work for you. And I think looking back at it and see where I am now, and a lot of my peers, I guess they should have been more like me, because a lot of them still where they, you know, was at when they first started or whatever. In the midst of my career, right in the smack dab of the height of everything, I decided to try for Project Runway. Not just season 1, but season 2 and season 3. You're right, season 4, 5, 6, and 7. And pretty much trying out for Project Runway, you know, for those of you know that have been on reality shows a lot of times in competitions, you have to pretty much stop your whole life. And that's what I was doing. Every year I would stop my whole life, and I was having clients. I was telling them, look, I can't take you this month. You're gonna have to wait till a couple of months. And I was losing clients. I was giving up my place of residency. I was staying out my studio. And I just became very, 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 very extremely depressed. I would say it was one of the darkest moments of my career, and it was not only dark, it was very scary. Looking back at it now, I could say, damn, I was depressed, but when I was in the midst of it all, I had no absolute clue. I went to stay with a friend of mine in this huge ass, cold ass warehouse, sleeping on a filthy couch, and I just couldn't take it no more. I said, you know what, I need to go home. So I packed my things up, and I moved back home to Chattanooga. The great thing about Chattanooga is I was surrounded by people who loved me, and and you know, I rekindled a relationship with my mother and my father, and you know, the relationship with my aunt and my uncle and my cousins has always been there since the beginning of time. And I was just still not happy. But lo and behold, the fashion show called me. And when they called me the first time, I told them no, I want no parts of it. And you know, my aunt and I had a conversation, and she said, you know what, this is your dream, go ahead and try it. So when they called back, I said, you know what, I'll go audition for the fashion show. And next thing you know, I flew up to Chicago, and they said, Reco, you are on the show. And I was like, you shitting me. So I did my thing on the fashion show, and when I got off the fashion show, I moved right back home to Chattanooga. I opened up a store called Studio 423. After the fashion show, I was able to pack houses for fashion shows, 1,000 people at a time. Different celebrities was coming to my event, different celebrities was calling me. So I decided, you know what, it's time for me to move back to Atlanta and take Atlanta by storm. Was it really again? Okay, take Atlanta by storm, I guess. So when I moved back to Atlanta, to really be honest, it was a shock for me. Because next thing you know, Kandi Burruss called me. Next thing you know, Toni Braxton called me. All these celebrities was calling me left and right, left and right, left and right. All these shows, Reco. And you know what? I was like, instead of being on all of these shows, so why won't I create my own? The house that Reco built. Next on the house that Reco built.
What's your name?
Do you like white girls?
Actually, the last girl I had sex with was a white girl.
How long ago was that, Reco?
Ooh, don't laugh at me. It was like 4 years ago.
Don't laugh at you. You had sex with a girl 4 years ago?
Yes! I wanted to see if it still works.
Reco, I knew you 4 years ago. When did this happen?